Welcome back, Shalligators, and welcome, Swifties. Ooh, Taylor's got some big news. She is Time Magazine's Woman of the Year, as she should be. I mean, who the hell has had a year like Taylor Swift? Margot Robbie? Did someone land on a planet? Do we have a moon landing? Was there any sort of astronaut? I don't know. I only know about my favorite blondes, which is Taylor and Margot. But hold up. We cannot argue with the fact that Taylor has crushed it this year between her tour and the movie of the tour and everything. And her romance that we are like, I love her romance. But there's a lot to unpack in the interview she did with Time Magazine, and not a lot of it is great because Taylor Swift, as successful and smart and bad bitchy as she is, seems to have this tick that she cannot get control of, and it is the tick to be a victim. I've never seen anything like it. I am not saying she doesn't have the right to feel victimized by the way people talk about her in the public. And listen, hey, I understand that I'm part of this. We're talking about her right now. I am just saying that she has a tendency to make all the transgressions against her personality in a way that I don't see people like, Kim Kardashian doing. I don't see it from Kim, Kendall, Kylie, not even Rob. I don't see it from a lot of other big celebrities. I see it chiefly from Taylor Swift. So we're going to break down her interview with Time because she talks a lot about Kim. She talks a lot about Kim, which is why we're going to make some direct comparisons because Taylor's the one putting Kim's name in her mouth over and over and over again. So girl, you introduce this into evidence. You want to dance? Let's dance. This is what I do. I break down arguments for points and counterpoints and point out logical fallacies, and I'm so sorry. You're a great songwriter. I'm a great arguer. This is my own personal Eras tour right now. Because I want to know what we can learn. I asked you guys on my Instagram, follow along, ShallonXO, what's the topic here? And a lot of you guys said how to move on from a very embarrassing chapter of your life where you just kind of showed your ass. Maybe you were a wild child. Maybe you took a really hard stance on something or someone and you kind of turned out to be wrong. Maybe people came against you and you were the victim. How do you just move the fuck on from things? Because as much as Taylor is an example of what to do as a woman and a creator and everything, she is also a big example of what not to do in terms of moving on with her life. We're going to break it all down. But before we do, I have some stuff from the Nadine News Network. You guys know, my mom will tell me kind of social issues, and I don't share with you the negative ones because they stress me out. And I'm like, Mom, I can't hear it, but I'm sharing with you the positive ones. Okay. Abortion rights. Since we're all feminists here and we're talking about being a bad bitch and living our best life, you guys know I'm very pro-choice. Get an abortion if you want one. And if you don't, literally don't get one. I don't care. But we have had some good news in that category. So this past November, 7 different states, Montana was one of them, voted on upholding abortion rights, and all 7 voted to uphold them. So that's a really good thing. I don't know. That just makes me feel really good. The world is scary and full of spiders right now, and I just feel like we need a little bit of good news. So I'm really proud of all of those states that voted to uphold it. And again, if you don't like abortion, that's chill. Don't get one, man. Literally no one's going to come and force you. It's all good. So yeah, I'm really proud of everyone who got out and voted, and we just need to keep up momentum when we're looking at issues that we care about, and get out, educate yourself, make sure you're registered to vote. This is part of our civic duty. It's really fun to complain about the world going to hell in a handbasket. Let's be part of the solution instead of part of the problem, and people not voting and not standing up for what they believe in is the problem. That is the problem. So good for us. Okay, let's talk Taylor. Okay, so first things first, let's break down the look. Let's break down the aesthetics. I don't love this. I don't love this cover. It's giving Spiegel catalog 1996. It's just giving Wilson Phillips opening band. Do you know? The hair, I think it's a different kind of look for her. Maybe people like Taylor, and I say this about Kim Kardashian all the time, is I feel like Kim really has very unique and unusual photo shoots. And Kylie is even doing this too, which I love, because they have just been photographed so many times. They've had so many shoots. It's I don't know what to do with this face at this point. I don't know. I do a lot of photo shoots and I'm what do I do with my hands? It's the same fucking hands that do I need a tail to make this interesting? I don't know. So this is a little different. It's kind of Aspen ski mom in the 90s. It's okay. Yeah, we've got the sparkly bodysuit. Okay. Yeah, we got smoky eye. Yeah, that's cool. It's a suit. Wow. Time isn't a fashion magazine. They're not doing like editorial looks. They're kind of just presenting someone in a way that most people would understand them. This thing. I mean, hey, Taylor, how can you demonstrate that you're a strong woman? Maybe, I don't know, go like this, like, ooh, I'm strong. Like, okay, creative director Linda. Let's talk about her interview. Let me give you my overall thesis. Do you remember a few years ago, I was still living in New York. So yeah, it was like 2019 maybe. Taylor was voted like Billboard's Songwriter of the Year, the Life, or the Century, something. It was some huge honor. And that woman spent all 11 minutes of her acceptance speech, it was like her own personal burn book. Do you remember this? I did a video on it because I broke down, my video was like an hour and a half because I had to break down every sentence she was saying. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? It was a laundry list of anyone who has ever doubted her and how she came back from it. And listen, there is a way to get that across, like, hey girls, if you're out there and people are telling you you can't do it, people told me I couldn't do it. They told me I couldn't sing and I couldn't write. You know what? Believe in yourself. There's a way to get that message across with a spirit of I'm helping other people. I am taking my pain or my experiences and I'm broadcasting it into a larger lesson. I try to do this here on this channel. Taylor didn't do that. It was a burn book. It was me. Fuck you and that guy back. Yeah, fuck you because I did this and I did this. It was bitter. It was hostile. It was self-aggrandizing and it was a giant pity party. And what have I always said about victims? And I've used Taylor Swift as an example. Victims become bullies. Beware the person who feels wronged because they feel entitled to inflict an almost unlimited amount of venom out into the rest of the world. Don't believe me? Go home for the holidays and look at your mom. Now listen, you probably love your mama. I love my mama too. Moms are martyrs. Why are they martyrs? Because they feel like they do everything around here. And you know what? They are probably not wrong. They're probably not wrong. But how does a martyr act? Holy shit, they're nightmares. They become a bully. No, I'll just make my bed. Like they become absolutely unbearable to be around because they feel victimized. They feel entitled to be hostile and to take their pound of flesh from everyone else. And guess what? That desire is actually bottomless. That desire is bottomless. And that is why I complain all the time about victim narratives and people who are victims, because when we entrench in that, it is a tar pit. It is a tar pit. I believe in controlled whining. When I'm going through a breakup, I am not kidding you. I have an alarm set in my phone called Cry O'Clock. It's 12:35. It's Cry O'Clock. And I give myself 25 minutes to go into my nap room. I'll do a video on it. It's really adorable. It's like pink and decked out. Like if I was 9 years old, it's like my 9-year-old like room of requirement. And I just wallow and I cry and I wail and I say really cringe things to myself. And then when that second alarm goes off that says Cry O'Clock is over, we're back. Avoiding a victim narrative is not about avoiding feelings. It's not about avoiding processing feelings. It's not about avoiding justice or anger or any of that. It's about not letting it take more from you than whatever that perpetrator already took. It is not about forgiveness. Fuck forgiveness. Fuck turning the other cheek. Fuck kindness. I am not a forgiving person. I'm not. But I am an achiever and I am a winner. And I am, more than anything, very prideful. And I choose not to see myself as a victim. It is icky to me. It is loser behavior. Have I been victimized by things? Yes, man. We all have. But I process that and then I try to move on. Does that mean it feels good and that I don't care anymore? Of course not. Of course not. But it's someplace you go, you are brought to this victim place. It's like a rest stop on the highway. Do you stay at the rest stop? No. You rest. You get your shit together and you get back on the road. Does Taylor do that? So the big thing she decided to bring up in this interview, for honestly, I don't know what reason, because she always gets like petty and specific. I mean, listen, I know that there have been so many things about Taylor that she doesn't share. But it feels like the things she does share, she literally never stops sharing. You know what I mean? It's like she just, Scooter Braun, Kim and Kanye, it's like she just, when she picks a battle, she seems to pick it forever. And every battle ends, every storm runs out of rain, and hers just don't seem to. So Taylor said that when her career was at her highest, the pendulum swung, as it is wont to do. She said public sentiment turned, this is the writer, sniping about everything from her perceived overexposure to conspiracy theories about her politics. She said, quote, I had all these hyenas climb on and take their shots. She could have left it there. She could have left it there. Everyone had been like, yeah, you know, totally, that's fame, that's what happened. She didn't. She decided to bring up Kim. The writer says, Kanye West wrote a song with vulgar lyrics about Taylor, which, as we all know, is I Made That Bitch Famous, because he interrupted her acceptance speech at the VMAs. I mean, this has been going on for like, I don't know, 12, 15 years. Like, can someone move on? And claimed that Swift had consented to the lyrics, which Swift denied. She did deny it. She brought it up constantly. I wish to be excluded from this narrative. Excluded from this narrative became like a pop culture saying, right? That's where we get this from. I didn't consent to this. You know, he's writing these vulgar things about me, blah, 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 blah. She acted like this came out of nowhere. She had no idea. Let me just pause and say, even if that's true, let's say that that's true. Taylor, move the fuck on. Move on. I bet that there's songs about you a lot of places, or memes about you, or YouTubers calling you out on things. She seems to want to fight so many battles. It's like if she had just been like trash lyric, whatever, and moved on, none of this would be a thing. But back then when it happened, she didn't. She didn't. She kept throwing rocks at this hornet's nest. And you know what was in that? The queen bee of all queen bees, Kim Kardashian. You can make a pretty good comparison about who's got more power in this world. Two scary ass women. I also want to touch on Kim Kardashian because I believe Kim and Taylor are the two most maligned women on planet Earth. And like Hillary Clinton. Like, the vitriol people have for these women, let's just focus on Kim and Taylor, is like crazy. It's crazy to me. I mean, listen, we break down Taylor's behavior, but like, I love her. I think she's like such a bad bitch. Same with Kim. I come for Kim's neck. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? But I love her and everything she achieves. But people, you bring up their names and listen, I'm going to make the case that Kim is much more hated than Taylor. Taylor has this fan army that Kim honestly doesn't have. Like, what is the name of a Kardashian stan? Like, Taylor has Swifties. You guys are Shalligators. Like, I have a stan army name. The Kardashians kind of don't. Isn't that weird? And when I talk about Taylor or fucking that douchebag Selena Gomez or anybody, any stan army, their weird ass fucking lunatic fans, Britney, are like, leave her alone. No one says that about Kim and the Kardashians. There's no stans that pull up for them, which is very interesting. It's odd. I think the psychology of like parasocial relationships with celebrities is like fascinating. My point is, Kim could be president. Every single description of her will always include the word sex tape. She could colonize life on Venus. Former sex tape star Kim Kardashian. People are always going to bring that up in a way that they don't with Taylor. They can say she's crazy. She writes crazy songs about her ex. It's not the same. It's not the same. The way people undercut everything that Kim achieves is not how people speak about Taylor. It just isn't. It isn't. And I say this because Kim Kardashian's poise and her refusal time after time after time after time to take the bait blows my mind. I love the Kardashians because of that. Like, given what I do for a living, I find it incredibly inspirational. And very often when I'm like, here we go, like trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers, I'm like, what would Kim do? What would Kim say? How would Kendall handle this? And that probably sounds stupid. It's not to me. You know, if it makes me behave better and not just so insane and unhinged on the internet, it's actually a great thing. I think about that. I don't think about what would Taylor do, because I'm like, I don't know, man. She'd be like, post it. I just don't know. So I really have so much respect for Kim Because the things, again, my point is, the things people say about her is so much harsher and minimizing and belittling than I believe, this is my opinion, how people speak about Taylor, or even if they're same, Kim always keeps it classy. She just does. She just does. And if you think that's easy for her, try it. You know it's not. I mean, maybe you don't. I know that it's not. I know that it's not. And so I have a great deal of respect for her. The scandal was tabloid catnip. It made Swift look like a snake, which is what people called her. She felt that it was a career death, she says. Quote, make no mistake, my career was taken away from me. Quote, you have a fully manufactured frame job in an illegally recorded phone call, which Kim Kardashian edited and then put out to say to everyone that I was a liar. That took me down psychologically to a place I've never been before. I moved to a foreign country. I didn't leave a rental house for a year. Oh, rental. I was afraid to get on phone calls. I pushed away most people in my life because I didn't trust anyone anymore. I went down really, really hard. Did Kim edit this phone call? I have honestly never heard that. The last thing I heard was Kim, after years of this shit from Taylor, putting out a call, like a recording where allegedly it's Kanye was like, hey, I'm going to make these lyrics. And Taylor's like, oh my God, hilarious. Something along those lines. Is that fake? I don't know. Again, this is the first I've heard of this. Maybe you guys are like, no, it is. Tell me. To me, it kind of doesn't matter. It honestly kind of doesn't matter. Because again, Taylor was the one who was bringing this up, both when it happened and consistently. Kim has spoken on it once. She released the recording again after Taylor wouldn't fucking let it go, to the point that Taylor reoriented her entire brand about this. Remember all the snake imagery on her album Reputation, and she was trying to look like badass on the cover. She really just kind of looked like a wet boy at the mall who's like in a Spencer's gift. I don't know what this aesthetic is. I don't know what it is. Like her microphone was a snake. All the imagery in the tour was a snake. It was just such an embodiment of they live rent-free in your mind, Taylor. Like they live 100% rent-free in your mind, and they have completely moved on from this. Can you imagine if Kim had made a whole new product about Taylor Swift? If Kanye had released a whole album backlashing Taylor Swift, and Kanye is crazy as a sack of weasels, I wouldn't put it past him. Even he didn't do that. Taylor did. She did get canceled. I have been canceled. I understand every single point she made. I moved to a foreign country. I moved to Montana. I lived kind of off the grid. I didn't take phone calls. I pushed people away. Check. I get it. I get that so much. It just kind of seems like she's still there. The fact that she's still talking about it. And listen, if she was doing an interview about specifically this, if she was doing an interview about public backlash, she's doing an interview about a really amazing accolade in her life, a really positive moment. She is pushing to a very negative one, the most negative thing that's ever happened to her. When I have good things happen to me, I don't bring up the worst parts of my life. I don't bring up the worst parts of my history. I don't like it because I want to live in the happy parts. Taylor just doesn't seem to want to. It's very odd. Or do you think that I'm being unfair? Do you think that this is exactly the time she should talk about it? Because hey, if you're Woman of the Year, that means you've overcome some shit, and this is a huge thing she's overcome. I'm not doubting that she overcame this huge public backlash, where prior to that, she really hadn't felt the wrath of like public vitriol to that degree. And I think people's reaction to this was disproportionate and ridiculous, as all cancellations are. Like, grow the fuck up, get a life. But I do think Taylor she did not do herself any favors by, again, pushing her whole brand in the direction of responding to this. She just looked really pressed about it. And listen, I'm not saying that privately she shouldn't have been. Of course, there's private and there's public. I know that. I'm not Taylor Swift, you know? There's a way to move on from something publicly, and you just have to do what needs to be fucking done. You just need to act like it doesn't bother you. I'm so sorry, but that's it. I mean, I have never made a response video to all the bullshit cancel stuff about me. It's like, because it's not worth my time. And I can talk to you guys and be like, yeah, I heard it was terrible, but I'm not like living in that place. I'm not responding to this. I'm not talking to these people. They're not on my level. I don't, it's not that I don't care, but I don't care about them enough to make this a thing. I bring it up when it's material to what I'm talking about, but I'm not just like making my whole channel about it. I don't know. I just think it's weird. Or am I just splitting hairs here? What do you guys think? She then went on to say something that just has me like, okay. Swift knows, the writer says, that fame is a seesaw. Nothing is permanent, she said. I'm very careful to be grateful every second, blah, 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 blah. But I've also learned there's no point in actively trying to defeat your enemies. Trash takes itself out every single time. Who in the hell are you trying to fool saying something like that? Taylor, there's no point in trying to defeat your enemies. How many pieces of content did you post about Scooter Braun? How much, like we just talked about, have you reoriented your entire career to spite Kim and Kanye when they had way moved on from this? And you're honestly trying to sell me on the idea that trash just takes itself out. What? Do you think we're dumb? Do you think we're dumb? And you know what? Set those examples aside. Your entire songwriting career has been based on scorched tunes about your exes. Girl. And listen, I love her songs. She's an incredible writer. I love that she's so open about her feelings and her exes. And I love it. I love it. But don't sell us on that. Just be like, I am petty as fuck. And you come against me, the whole world's going to hear about it. Great. That's how I am. Amazing. Good for you. I love that. I love that pettiness for you. But this to me is proof positive. She is just not there in terms of self-awareness. She's not. Because she also, of course, brought up Scooter Braun in this interview. Of course. I'm surprised she didn't bring up Joe Jonas. And listen, I will be the first to say I cannot imagine what she went through getting her song catalog sold out from under her to Scooter Braun. It's like if someone sold my videos to the person I hated most in the world. I hate many people. That would be really, really, really tough. That would be really tough. But she's like, come out on top. And to me, like, Scooter's kind of circling the drain. She's a billionaire. Stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. Stop hanging out with Joe Jonas's ex-wife. Stop doing these things, for Christ's sakes. Move on, girl. Move on. You have every reason in the world to leave these things behind and just declare yourself, have a little ceremony if you need to. Declare yourself a winner, triumphant over these things, and make a promise to yourself, stop bringing it up, which dovetails into our advice. How do you move on? How do you move on? How do you move on? Like I said, I'm not a forgiving person. I don't understand it. I've talked about this in videos. Frankly, I don't want to understand forgiveness. As much as I can get my head around it, it's like it's not about saying that what they did was okay. Well, if you go to someone, you're like, I forgive you, that's actually exactly how they take it. Oh, really? Oh, phew, what I did was okay. That's precisely how they take it. So I am definitely not in favor of ever telling someone that I forgive them for something, like ever. They can be crushed under the weight of their own decisions until the day that they die. Until the day they die. If they need absolution, see a fucking priest. Like I said in a recent Instagram reel, don't come to the devil. I guess I understand forgiveness as I am no longer participating in this narrative. I'm no longer participating in this narrative. I am no longer feeding this grudge, this wound, this sense of injustice. I'm not continuing to feed the beast. I'm just not. That's as far as I've gotten with the concept of forgiveness. Honestly, I don't really know. Is it something beyond that? I don't know. So how do we move on from things? If you're a little bit like me and you're like, no, I don't want to forgive someone. They can fuck off. Okay. First and foremost, stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. This is tough. This is tough. I believe very much in the power of words, and we speak our reality. We speak it into existence. There is the magic of breath, pushing something out into the world, making it real. You don't believe me? Let's say someone thinks you look fat in that dress. Which hurts more? Them thinking it or them saying it to you unequivocally? I rest my case. Words have power, okay? And if we are getting this sort of like bad, negative, psychological like head scratch from bitching about something again and again and ranting about it and bringing it up and another thing. We are giving life and life and life and life to it. Now listen, I'm not saying don't talk about your feelings, don't process things. Of course do that. We have to. But know when enough is enough. Know when enough is enough. And if you're sitting here saying, oh, so I just have to never bring something up again? I just can't keep bringing it up? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. You are looking at this as they won. Kim and Kanye won if I can't talk about it. No, girl, no. Whether they win or lose is immaterial. It's about how you're feeling. And honestly, they look like they're winning way more the more you bring something up. The more you're ranting about your ex, the more everyone knows he lives, like Kim and Kanye does, in Taylor's mind, rent-free in your imagination, rent-free in your life. That is never a place of power. That's never a place of power. Consign your enemies to the dust of oblivion. Entomb them in their own irrelevance. Believe me when I say that I understand that that doesn't feel fair. I know that. I want people to know that I hate my enemies forever. I do not ever want someone, not even for a minute, to think that I have fucking forgotten. I don't want them to think that it's okay to creep back into my life, to slither around me. I also don't want people to think, more than anything, that I am a forgiving person, that she really just didn't do anything. I don't want people to think that. I don't want people to think that I've made peace with the transgressions against me. I haven't. I carry grudges forever. Sorry. I have plenty of strength to do it. People are like, hate is too heavy a burden to carry. Not for me. I do my squats. I've got a lot of strength. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks, love. For some people it is. Just not one of them. There is, however, a difference between constantly bringing things up. Because again, you are endlessly feeding it. And let's say that does hurt the other person. Let's say that she knows she betrayed you and you are never going to forget it. Let's say that you are constantly letting people know, fuck Hannah, fuck Madison, fuck them all. I hate them. They're dumb bitches. They're not, I get it. But we must count the cost for ourselves. No war is without losses. No war is without losses. There is no battle in history where there has not been one loss on the winner's side. Almost zero. There is always a cost. And you can say, fine, I'm fine with the cost. All right. But hold on. As with Taylor, one must think of their reputation. And I just think it's so interesting she named her album that, because it's like, did you not run this through any sort of like branding chat GPT software? Because it was such a mistake. What is it doing to your reputation? Let's say it's making you as an individual feel incredible to just bitch and rant and hate somebody forever. I get it. What is it doing to your reputation? Because what makes us feel good very rarely is what makes us look good. I feel like I want to flip over an Applebee's table when my boneless riblets come out a little cold. That's what I feel. It'd make me happy. How would it make me look? Poor, right? We're adults and we have to understand that, yeah, what feels good in the moment is animalistic. It's reactionary. It isn't proactive. It isn't controlled. It isn't alpha, babe. And if you cannot get your head around that and your heart around that because you are just so gassed up about what happened in the past, totally get that. I'm not saying to try to fix that and clean it up. I'm saying just shift your attention into how does this fucking look? And of course, we don't want to live our life just based on optics. You know, you're not a celebrity. You're not an influencer. You don't have to. But we're all sort of little local celebrities in our own circle, in our sorority, in our office, in our whatever, in our family. Everyone dies famous in a small town, like Miranda Lambert says. So we should look at ourselves through the lens of fame if it's going to help us make better decisions about our behavior and therefore our reputation. Your reputation is all that you have. It's all that you have. Your dignity is all that you have. And 99% of the time, the thing that keeps me from absolutely fucking losing it is because I have a very rigid idea of how I want people to see me, both, you know, in public and just in private. Here's the second thing you're going to do to move on from a cringe episode in the past. Ask yourself if you're still that person. Really do the autopsy, the emotional autopsy on that entire situation. Let's say it was Kim, Kanye, Taylor, okay? Why did Taylor have such a reaction to that lyric with Kanye? What about that got under her skin so bad? And I'm not saying she's wrong for letting it piss her. I'm not saying that. But there was something about that was so triggering for her. She could not let it go. It was a Pyrrhic victory. Like, she thinks she won. She destroyed herself in the process. She says that. It was the death of my career. She does not, however, go the necessary extra step and be like, I don't know why I just went so hard on that. I really should have just let it the fuck go. I should have let it go. She never says that. She never says that, which is why I have an issue with her, because that's a hallmark of a victim narrative is none of this was my fault. Yeah, man, some of it was. Some of it was, okay? Some of it was. And that starts with understanding what about a situation just really grabbed you. The first thing to look at is your circumstances. Who were you at that time? Were you kind of floundering around in some way? We talk about this a lot in terms of dating and hurt lockers, right? When we imprint on a guy, an ex, someone we maybe sort of dated, a situationship, and we cannot let it go. We can't let it go. My Montana hurt locker, Tom, my ex, if you're in the Shallon entourage, you know all about him. I imprinted on him my first week in Montana when I had just moved here, just come off cancellation, just come out of the pandemic. I didn't know a single person in this state. And he was the ultimate Montana man. Like, tall, rugged. I mean, just seemed to know everyone, seemed to know how to do everything Montana. And I mean, look, I can't do anything. And I imprinted on him because he wasn't someone I wanted to date as much as he was someone I wanted to be. There were these qualities of admiration I had for him. And that is what bound my ego to that situation. By ego, I mean my sense of self, my identity. And when we look at our hurt lockers, that's always what I encourage you to do. Who were you then? What was going on in the rest of your life? Like, pull back, look at the forest for the trees. Who were you? Did you imprint upon a guy because your career was going nowhere and he seemed so driven and you just like needed that for yourself? There was something about that person that you were trying to kind of like siphon off for yourself. Now, when we have a traumatic event, sort of a hurt locker of a situation, like Taylor did with Kanye, what was going on with her? What was going on with her that a rapper saying, I made that bitch famous, using the B word, was something she couldn't fucking handle? And listen, I know he also went on to do that weird music video with like wax sculptures of her naked. I am not saying she shouldn't have been mad about this. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying her reaction to this seemed disproportionate and, more than anything, endless. She's still talking about it. She's still talking about it. So that means it really hit. Why? What was going on in her life? What was it? I have no idea, but it was something. So look at your own situation. And again, I'm not saying that you're doing this to talk yourself out of it. And the goal here is not to be like, see, you don't even care, or you're crazy for caring. It's actually the opposite. I want you to look at who you were when this thing happened that you're still ranting about and thinking about and letting occupy your mind. And I want you to now make a contrasting sketch of who you are today. This is what helped me get over Tom, is when I realized I don't need him. I don't need him to feel integrated into the culture here in Montana. I don't need him to be like my best friend. I have best friends. I don't need him to take me elk hunting. I don't want to go elk hunting. I have become him. I've actually eclipsed him. So that was really helpful in untangling the knots. Is it a magic bullet that's like, I don't care anymore? No, that's not how emotions work. But it gave me just that foothold of objectivity to gain mastery, more so over my emotions and over the situation. Okay? And that doesn't seem like a huge win. It is, because it's the first step. It's the first step. So when you can look at your situation and be like, I was so fucking triggered by my friend betraying me. Yeah, I wrote all those things online. Yeah, I might have uploaded a song about her onto SoundCloud. Yeah, I might have done all these things. Are you still in the place that precipitated that wild ass reaction? What were the logistics? Why were you acting like that? What was going on? Are you still there? Hey girl, you gotta be really honest with yourself, because if you are, no shit, you're still upset about this. Of course, you're still in the same place. The abuse, the trauma, the betrayal, the cheating, whatever, that ended. That had a finite amount of time associated with it. You're the one who's kept it going. Why? A lot of times we keep ranting about things and keep letting them occupy a huge part of our life because it's fun. Because it just feels so good to complain. I love it. And we like to complain about things where we get to be the victim, you know? How annoying is it when you hear someone complain about something they have 100% control over? 100% control. And you're like, Bethany, I don't know. Like, you probably wouldn't keep gaining weight if you weren't eating exactly what you're eating right now. We're Burger King. Why are we here? It gets old. It gets old. No. People don't want that. They want to bitch and complain where they get to be the victim. Is that because the things that actually need your attention in the present day, you might have a little bit of a part in it. You might have a little bit of a part in it. That's a little bit less fun, because seeing is believing. If you can say, I am still so pissed about Hannah and Madison betraying me and not inviting me to that stupid fucking birthday party. Instead of that, what I actually need to focus on is getting my finances together. And that's not Hannah and Madison's fault. It's actually partly mine. And so I need to focus on that. And when you look that in the face, you have no choice but to do something about it. You have no choice but to do something about it. We see people all the time who won't look a problem in the face. We have been those people. I get it. This is our life's work as human beings. It's not something you solve in an afternoon. And it's not something, once you do look something in the face, it means you can, it's just a skeleton key. It really does help though. If you can start just learning the muscle memory of looking shit in the face, you become brave. And what is the opposite of a victim? A hero. And what is a hero? Brave. My skeleton key was losing weight. I've talked about this in my Ozempic video. And yes, Ozempic was incredibly helpful. As I've said a billion times, I put my effort with the drug's effort. And a lot of people have not. And I have. And I'm really proud of myself about that. I changed my diet. I work out like 5 times a week. I'm so sore right now. I mean, look, I got some things. When I was able to get real deal Holyfield about my eating habits and how pretty much my own behavior brought me to Fat City and onto Ozempic, I was able to just look at so many other things in the face. I'm like, okay, I was responsible here. Oh, and there and over there and here and there. And you think what your fear brain is telling you is, oh, no. If you look one thing in the face, this is going to be so incredibly traumatic for you. You are going to fall into this horrible emotional tar pit and you're never going to get out. You're going to be so consumed with the shame of what your behavior led to, or how you, not even your behavior, what you permitted and promoted, the red flags you ignored, the lies you put up with, You're going to be so disgusted with yourself, you're not going to be able to look at anything else in the face. You're going to collapse and die. It's actually the opposite. I swear to you. I swear to you. You don't have to do it all in the same weekend. It will illuminate itself and will present itself. You know why? Because the psyche is finally being heard. And girl, that's all she wants. She's trying to tell you something. And if you are like, okay, I'm listening. Talk to me, babe. And you can let her be heard, she's not going to do things the hard way every single time because she knows she's being heard. So she's going to like put these little threads in your mind like, hey, you only like that guy because you thought he had a lot of cool friends. Turns out he didn't, and now you do. Oh my God, that's so true. That's so true. I'm deleting a Snapchat. You're going to be able to hear things when your psyche whispers versus when she takes you to Fat City, versus when you make a whole tour about snakes and Kim Kardashian. You're going to do the hard shit. And it won't feel hard. It won't feel hard. So you want to get past things? First of all, keep it out of your mouth. Don't talk to them. Don't talk about them. Don't bring it up. And tell your friends, be like, hey, you know that thing I've been ranting about for like 4.5 years? I have decided Cold turkey. We're just done. We're just done. Unfollow Instagram accounts that remind you of something. Just get anything out of your life that triggers that rant response within you. Even if it's not even related. Like, I unfollowed pretty much every political Instagram and things that I agreed with because it just gassed me up. And that that vitriol I carried with it throughout my entire day. And I looked for outlets for it and I created outlets for it. I created bad situations because I had this energy I had to work out. I muted or unfollowed so many people and I'm like, wow, there's so much more peace in my life. There's so much more peace. And then because there was that peace and quiet, the psyche could be heard. Number 2, go back to who you were when this thing happened and ask yourself, am I still this person? And if you're like, no, I'm not this person, then sweetheart, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for your part in that. Because a lot of times that's why we stay connected to a bad chapter and we don't want to look this in the face, which is weird, our ownership in it. When I stay connected to Tom, my hurt locker, it's partly out of shame that I thought I didn't deserve any better. I had a beggar's mentality when I met him. The whole internet hates me. The whole world is locked down. I can't see my friends anymore. I don't live in New York anymore. I will take what I can get from this man. What do I have to ask for? How do I think I could do better? I don't know anybody here. And I'm going to say, oh no, I'm not hanging out with you tonight because you're fucking wasted. I'm going to do that so I can sit home alone? Yeah. Actually, that's exactly what I should have done. And I know that, but I stay entrenched in this because I think, okay, well, if I can just get us to this amazing happy ending, which is what even, then all of those bad choices, they weren't bad choices. They were just the natural rising and falling action of a love story. You got to just cut the cord. Stop throwing good money after bad. If someone was conning you out of money, do you still give them more money? Psychologically, yes, a lot of people do, but you can see when other people do that and you're like, oh my God, why? But we do it. We do it emotionally. We do it financially. We do it. It's called confirmation bias. So we need to cut that cord right now. You've been upset about something for 3 years. You know what's worse? 3 years in one day. 3 years in one day. Today's the day. Today's the day to let it the fuck go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Stop feeding the beast. Letting it go is not, you're fine with it. Yay! It's, I am no longer feeding this hideous monster that I let live in my house and my heart and my mind. I'm not doing it. I am starving this out. Hunger hurts, but starving works. You deserve to move on. You deserve to not let people keep taking things from you. And maybe that person who's taking from you is you. Maybe the cringe chapter in your life had nothing to do with anybody else. It was just your own cringe ass behavior. And then the very last step is, especially if this was your own cringe ass behavior, maybe an addiction, a wild child phase, you were just upset about something, you didn't know how to process it. Say you're sorry. It's funny. I know a few people who've gone to rehab and they have their little 12-step thing. And I say it with that voice because I'm sorry. Isn't one of the steps apologies? I've never gotten one apology from somebody. Not one. Not one. Not an ex, not a bestie, not an old roommate, nothing. Nope. So again, I have a hard time being forgiving when no one's fucking apologizing. Where was I even going with this? I'm not sure. I think it was just something bitter I needed to talk about. Go around and say you're sorry to people. Because that's a big thing. I think a lot of you guys hold on to the shame of a bad chapter because you did lose somebody. Your best friend doesn't want to talk to you anymore. You're estranged from your cousin. If you can go to someone and go to them with clarity, self-clarity, and be like, you know why I was acting like that in 2019? I do actually now know. I was this, I was that, and I took it out on you. And I am so sorry. And hey, if you think maybe there were other things going on beneath the surface with me that precipitated that behavior, tell me, because I don't ever want to act like that again. And I understand you have no obligation to forgive me. I don't know that I would in reverse. That's okay. I just want you to know that I understand what was going on finally, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And also, I'm telling you that I understand what's going on or what was happening because I am very committed to it never happening again. And you can't change what you don't acknowledge. And it feels good to acknowledge it because now I have a plan going forward of why I'm never going to act like that. I'm never going to act that way again. That's an apology people want. No one actually wants an apology. They want changed behavior. What's the best I'm sorry gift? Never doing something again. Not flowers. Cartier is not a bad runner-up. So if you can come to someone and say that, hey, I have self-awareness and I have a plan, and that is going to give you the comfort and the knowledge of feeling safe to be back in my life, because you are going to know what happened is never going to happen again. We are never going to go down that path because all the little things that drove me there have been taken care of. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But when you can do that and act right, you can look yourself in the face and say, you know what? I did everything I could. I did. Maybe it wasn't on the ideal timeline, but I got there, and a lot of people don't. Like I said, my friends go to rehab. I don't hear shit from them in terms of an apology. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, you're all fixed, but yet you can't say, hey, I'm really sorry that I was gaslighting you for 4 days in Mexico. When you can look yourself in the eye and say, you know what? All I can do is all I can do. I did right by this person. I did right by myself. I can move on. Is this a resolution I wanted? No. But that's just life sometimes. Sometimes we try and, okay, I didn't win, but I learned. I never lose. I win or I learn. Nelson Mandela said that, and I think this should be a guiding light for our lives. What is your Reputation album? Like, who is your Kim and Kanye? What is your thing, your Scooter Braun that you cannot let go? And why? Does it give you like a feeling of excitement and aliveness? Sometimes we rant just because it's like it just feels good to be angry and to just talk loud and gesture with our hands at brunch. I don't know. Sometimes it just feels good. It's like getting a massage. You're just getting energy out. What's a better way we could get that out? Could we go for a run? I know that sounds dumb. It's like, oh, I'm going to get over something by a run. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. You know what? Try it. Try it. What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? What do you think about Taylor? Do you think that she really needs to stop bringing this shit up? Does she need to stop bringing it up? Or do you think she's 100% justified in bringing it up? And in fact, she should talk about it more. Who do you think wins the battle, Kim or Taylor? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys later. Don't forget to try my new clothing subscription rental service, XO Style Box. You can rent 20 garments a month for free. First month's free. Revolve level clothing, free shipping both ways, dry cleaning, designer stuff. It's amazing. Go ahead and click the link down the bio. I'll see you later, Shalligators.